What's up, guys? Mike Gambini here, PDGA number 81916. Figured I'd do a little early season in the bag. I relocated from Buffalo, New York to Melbourne, Florida, so playing a lot of disc golf now, and figured I'd get it started by showing you guys what's in the bag. It's about 65 degrees today. I've already gone soft. 65 means a hoodie now, but what can I say? The sun is shining, so life could always be worse. Start with my rig. I am a Zuca cart customer. Really enjoy it. I feel like it saves on my body for long rounds and tournaments. Carries plenty of discs, good side storage. So all in all, I gotta say thumbs up to Zuca Life. Let's start with putters. Putting putters. I'm a Judge man, tried and true for the last year or two. I just got this. This is a Prime Judge. Now that I'm in Florida and the humidity's high, I can use classic hard. So, been using my pair of Atomic Swirly purple pinks for a while. So, kind of go back and forth on a day like this. It's going to be prime. It's got a little more tacky feel, and then most days here, which are usually 70 and up, I can do the classic hard. Nice grip, great flight. One of my strengths as a amateur player is putting. So, gotta say, Judge all day. That being said, I do carry a lot of putters for throwing. My buddies back home tease me a lot, but hey, putters get the job done, so I don't care. I do carry a lot of putters. Well, whatever. It is what it is. Like I said, whatever gets the job done. We'll go from understable to stable putters. Definitely my Heiser Flip Machine, Classic Blend Deputy. Holds a great line. You stand it up at about 80% power, it'll go dead straight. If you really get on it, get a little drift to the right. Definitely my go-to Woods tunnel shot putter. Also been actually really enjoying it for longer putts, 35, 40, and beyond that. It can give it a little snap and it'll just stand and hold, whereas the Judge kind of dumps out at me on longer putts, so that's been nice. Next, bread and butter for just any laser beam shot, 240 and in. I can get on it and probably push 250, but usually I'll go up to like a mid for that. But Classic Blend Warden, got this one at the Chain Hawk Open in Gainesville. Absolutely gorgeous stamp. Shout out to the Chain Hawks. What can you say? Warden's just a great disc. Point and shoot. Get your birdie and move on. Next putter, near and dear to my heart, is the Gripline Pure. To be quite honest, very similar to the Warden point and shoot. However, extremely different feel. The Gripline Pures are premium plastic, so I like driving with them. I feel like I can dig into them a little more. They release a little easier than the blend, so this will be my driving putter from 230 to 250, sometimes less. Also, we'll use it for upshots. These actually can handle a little bit of wind too. Pure is pretty neutral, maybe even a little understable in a baseline plastic, but in the Gripline, start out of the box dead straight with a little fade, unless you really get on them. But near and dear to my heart, Gripline Pure. Next, this has actually been a huge change in my bag later part of 2018 and for the near future. I was a harp guy, tried and true. Still enjoy the disc. I think it's a great mold. The feel, just after a while, once I started trying the Shield, I really loved the feel of it. I found it to be, of course, it's not as stable as the harp, but Shields are stable. They'll hold the line and they'll finish. They can handle some wind. But more importantly, it was just a feel thing. A little bit fatter in the hand, releases real smooth. So, big change in my bag the last couple months, but I gotta say it's been going well. And then next is a Suspect. Having two plastics, Classic Blend and Lucid. This Classic Blend, very OG. Got it from someone back home, my buddy Nate, who tracked it down actually from Denise Cameron. So I actually wiped the stamp on it, so you can kind of see it's a little swirly, but My suspects are specifically for flick only. I love the thin profile, pretty much same stability as the Shield Harp, just different feel. A lot of my bag is field based. I love flat top thin discs for flicking. They sit in my hand just nice, smooth release. So suspects are strictly flick approaches. Sometimes I tee off with them if the hole is short enough, but mostly flick approaches. Next on to my mid ranges. I carry 4 different molds. The first one is going to be the Lucid Evidence. Turnovers, flip ups. If you put this thing dead straight 250, it's really not going to break left or right too much. So if you want kind of that soft 75-80% dead straight shot, you don't feel like getting on a putter, definitely recommend the Evidence. Beautiful seafoam. Got a shout out Mac, my buddy in Pittsburgh. He hooked me up when I lost mine when my cart got stolen back in October, but that's another story for another time. Next is gonna be my most seasoned Lucid EMAC, and it's also lighter weight, so 170 grams. This one I can get on it, and it's really not gonna move left or right. This is basically my point and shoot mid range. Use it for that 250 to 280 range. Woods tunnel, super confident, clean release, so probably my go-to mid for sure. Shout out to Foresight Dies for that one. Next, this is a newer addition in the bag. This is my quote-unquote stable EMAC right now. This is a Lucid, 176 grams, a little bit of dome to it, not much. Beautiful swirl. This one's got some stability. This one says 5502, and I would say it flies true to numbers. Can definitely hold up in some wind. It'll hold a hyzer line. If I rip on it, I don't have a very powerful arm, but if I rip on it, it really won't wriggle to the right too much unless there's a little bit of wind. So this has been my quote-unquote trusty stable EMAC. Next is, I feel like a mold that no one likes or no one throws because it's big and fat and it's got a giant bead, is the Anchor. The Anchor is nice because it sits in my hand comfortably. Like I said, long fingers, so I like typically fatter discs for backhand and thinner discs for flicking, so the Anchor is my overstable mid for that shot. Which, speaking of, reminds me, I do actually carry another mid, which is the Prime Verdict, strictly for flicking. Same concept as Suspect and Shield. Anchor, Verdict, one's forehand, one's backhand. Prime Verdict, sneaky stable actually. Once they beat in, obviously they'll start to lose some stability, but out of box I'd say they fly true to numbers, 5, 4, 0, 3.5. And it takes a minute to beat them in. It's not like people always think prime discs, you hit one tree and it's paper plate. Not true at all. These prime discs can take a little bit of a beating and still keep on ticking. So Prime Verdict is that overstable flick. Prime Anchor, Opto Anchor for backhand overstable. And my last mid-range and staple most people's bag, especially trilogy throwers, is the Justice. Another beautiful seafoam Justice. What can you say? This thing is a hog. This thing does not move anywhere but left and in a hurry. This one I actually will use both forehand and backhand, simply because it's utility and you're not really going to find two discs like it. So this one is a do-it-all, get out of trouble, phenomenal disc. Found myself in many a trouble and gotten out of it quite easily. Next disc, this is going to be getting into the fairway lineup, is the Spark. Spark is going to be primarily a flick disc only for me. Very flat top, very overstable. This is a current run Opto. This really isn't all that stable, to be quite honest. I'd say it flies true to numbers. I can flick it, get on it. It'll hold with a little bit of late dump. Now this sucker right here, this is a OG Opto Spark. This is from the early run. They're absolute mutants. This is the run that came out. Feldberg wasn't happy with it, so he went ahead and had the run changed. So absolute hog. This is basically a fairway Justice. This thing's been in my bag a while, and sometimes I still underestimate how stable it is, but you need that next step up from Justice. Find yourself an OG Spark, because man, they are hogs. Next, going to the bottom row, More fairways, starting from understable to overstable. This is going to be my Opto-Mo. Nice dye job on it. This is my fairway evidence. Flip, hold, a little bit of right turn if I really get on it, but for the most part this is going to be my woods disc, you know, slicing and dicing in the woods. Really don't use it in the open too much, simply because it is a little touchy. You could get on it in the open if you had a nice tailwind, but mostly my woods carving lines disc. Then my go-to fairway for sure is the Escape. I have to say it's probably the mold I've thrown the longest. I've been playing 3 years now, and I think I hit Escape in my first 2 months of playing. Absolutely love this disc. It's great for any arm speed. What can you say? It's 9.60 minus 0.5 turn and a fade of 2, and flies pretty much true to numbers unless you beat it in. This bio, I can get it to stand up and ride straight. I can throw it hard and flat. It'll give me a nice S. It'll hold an ante. Not that I'm a big ante thrower because of my flick, but you can put it on pretty much any line you want. Great glide, great disc. And then my other Escape is a L64 Ghost Stamp. At first we thought it was Opto Swirly, and then once the Hybrid Escapes came out, Justin Forsyth and I realized that this was actually a colored hybrid. As you can see, very swirly, beautiful disc, nice salmony peach color. Fits comfortable in the hand. This one is going to fly true to numbers, so definitely my go-to disc. Next fairway, which I didn't want to drink the Kool-Aid for the longest time. You know, the latest and greatest disc comes out and everyone jumps to it. And, you know, pros change their bag and everyone follows the pros, and you know, I'm kind of anti-establishment sometimes when it comes to that stuff, but this disc is lived up to the hype and then some. The Explorer, 7-speed, but you know, even an arm speed like me, I max out at maybe 325, 340 if I really get on one, but the Explorer is just phenomenal. It's maybe 275 to, you know, 325. You throw it at 70% power, it's going to hyzer nicely. You get on at 90, close to 100, it's going to go dead straight, mild fade at the end. This hybrid dye job starting to beat up nicely, so this is almost pretty much my dead straight flyer. The big difference between this and the Escape is control. It doesn't have the glide of the Escape, so this is going to be more of the point and shoot variety. And then my second Explorer, can you tell I like seafoam discs? This is going to be a beautiful pop top Opto. This was actually the Next Gen Tour Run, wiped the stamp. This was a hookup from Justin Forsyth. Beautiful disc. This one can handle some wind. This one's going to finish a little harder than my hybrid. Beautiful disc, beautiful flight. Can't say enough about the Explorer. And then another big change toward the later part of 2018 was switching over from the Culverin to the Getaway, and simply it was a feel thing. The Culverin, a little bit flatter, a little bit thinner feel, whereas the Getaway is going to have a nice little dome on it, and just feels a bit more comfortable in the hand. Honestly, it feels like the Explorer does, but just a little bit more speed. 9-speed disc. It's honestly, in my opinion, the Trilogy Thunderbird. Again, another great release from Dynamic Discs in the 2018 season. Love having this thing in my bag. Beautiful opaque Lucid. Got some nice swirls into it, little pop tops. This is pretty much my go-to headwind disc. I don't throw a lot of distance drivers because I don't really have the arm speed for them. So this sucker holds up in pretty much any headwind, 20 miles an hour or less. I'm pulling out the Getaway. On to my drivers, which is not very many. Distance drivers, I have one mold right now because I just don't have the arm speed to carry a ton of drivers. But yeah, the Trespass, phenomenal disc. I carry 2 plastics, bio and hybrid, color hybrid. The bio, nice pop top on it. This one I can actually get a little turn out of. This is going to give me a tight S. I'm really only using Trespasses in wide open shots. If I need any sort of control, I'm Escape or Explore. But when I have the room to get on a disc, I'm gonna go up to the Trespass. This is my max distance driver. Like I said, 325 to 340. I'm pretty conservative on my estimates. I bet I hit 350 every once in a while, but that's when I get a good rip on this Bio Trespass. And then the other Trespass in my bag is absolutely beautiful. It's a You Shall Not Trespass. Shout out to Lord of the Rings, colored hybrid from L64 Custom. Absolutely beautiful. Got some nice smoky swirls in it. This one's going to be just a true to numbers Trespass. So again, when I have the room, I'll pull out the Trespass, anything tighter, and I'm going Escape or Explore. Next on my flick discs, I would say my game is balanced. If I have a two-way look, if you will, I'm probably throwing a flick. That being said, I feel like my backhand is very accurate and very consistent. It's just not all that far. Whereas I can really pop my flick, probably push it 350, 375, and not really bat an eye. So I got a variety of flick discs. This one's fairly new to the bag. I lost when, as I mentioned earlier, I had some discs stolen from me back in the fall. I lost my hybrid Felon. It was my go-to Felon that would flip up for me or get some left drift and finish right, obviously flick only. So I've been looking for that beat-up Felon slot. This is a beautiful Lucid Felon. It's actually lighter weight. It's 167. And I'm noticing right out of my hand that it's getting some natural turn. So I'm hoping to beat this thing in, and this is going to be that money Felon that I lost. Next Felon, I would say this is my true to numbers Felon, colored hybrid. Release is out of the hand, so smooth. I just the Felon is the disc for me. You know, you try the ATI, try the Criminal. The Felon just feels phenomenal. Again, in the same vein of the Suspect and the Verdict, flat profile, stability, fast, everything you want in a disc. Beautiful. Push this thing anywhere between 275 and 325 depending on what the shot calls for, and it's just going to be reliable every time. Last Felon but not least, Lucid X. This is the Eric Oakley signature series with a beautiful custom die by Foresight Dies. This is a hog. This is a Felon that if you're lucky you could push 300, at least, you know, for my arm speed, but much needed disc in the bag. Much like the Justice and the OG Spark, this Felon is a hog. This Felon's going to handle any headwind. This Felon's going to give you huge skips. You can manipulate anhyzer lines with it, you know, quote-unquote anti-flex lines. I throw it occasionally backhand once in a while when I need a really hard mega skip left. There's a couple kind of gimmicky holes around here in Melbourne that I actually pull this out and I will throw it backhand. And next is my max distance flick disc, which is going to be the Defender. I carry it in 3 plastics. I have a Bio, the old Blueberry Run, pre-page as the nerds like to call it. This is going to be some natural S out of the box. If I get on this thing, max distance, it's going to flip up, wiggle to left, finish right. Thrown flat and hard. It's going to hold, drift left, and finish pretty much straight. Don't really throw backhand too much. Like I said, for my backhand arm speed, I'm pretty much going with the Getaway. I have been experimenting with it backhand for headwinds, and it does nicely for me, but I'm getting comfortable with the Getaway, so the Bio Defender is pretty much flick only. Then my money Defender is going to be the flat top Lucids. These absolutely bomb. They're super reliable. Every once in a while, if I don't have the most correct form on my throw, you know, once in a while you'll misfire. The Bio Defender will turn on me, not come back. The Lucid Defender is beat up now, but she'll still come back. This is probably my max distance Defender. Well, it depends. I would say the Bio and the Lucid are probably tied, but the fact that this one's beat up, and I just feel a little more comfortable really ripping on the Lucid because of the feel of the plastic. I almost feel like sometimes the Bio gets stuck in my hand because I pinch really tight when I flick. But my flick's never wobble. I feel like that's one thing about you know, flicking. If you're wobbling, it's probably because you're not pinching tight enough. You know, don't be afraid to pinch tight. You know, the torque of your arm to elbow to wrist to finish, you're not going to let go of that thing. So don't be afraid to pinch tight. So I feel like I could really pinch tight on this Lucid Defender and absolutely miss a lot of my hands. So I got a stack of about 4 or 5 of these. These are from back home from the Chai Lai Cookout in 2016. Really early run defender, super flat top, not like the crazy, beefcake pop tops that are out now. So gonna hold these near and dear to my heart until I lose them all. And then lastly, actually my most stable defender is the Prime Defender. Believe it or not, these Prime Defenders, as I said about the Verdict, the Prime discs are coming out stable. This Prime Defender is stable, and it is flat, and it doesn't glide for nothing. It almost kind of flies like an Enforcer, to be quite honest. But just having that mold, syncrasy. I like keeping the Prime Defender in the bag. It will hold headwind. Actually, my first and only career ace was back in the fall. About a 25 mile per hour raging headwind, maybe 300-foot pull. Flipped this thing up, held, dumped around a tree, boom, ace. So I had to replace it, but I've got a couple Prime Defenders. They roll really nice, forehand roller game, hold up in the headwind, anti-flex lines if you need it, real big flex. Every once in a while you have the open room, you need to get around an object, and you can put this on a huge flex and it's going to come back for you. So don't sleep on the Prime Defender. That's pretty much in my bag. Obviously I keep a towel in the back. Don't have my pulse set up right now, but obviously got my Zuka pouch. I keep my snacks, phone, wallet, keys. Great addition to the bag. This has been in the cart now for about 2 years, is the Disc Golf Gator. This is a little different than the Retriever because it's got the head on it. So this thing's going to be nice and accurate for grabbing discs. So concept just like a Gator, reach out, it's going to clamp. This is great for retrieving discs out of the water. I know people love the Golden Retriever. I don't have time to be dealing with that, slinging that string out there and hope I connect. This thing is a little shorter, still goes 20-25 feet, but key to this thing is accuracy. So if you don't have a Disc Golf Gator, you've been thinking about getting one, thumbs up all the way. Last but not least in my bag is going to be my minis. A little bit of backstory on one of my minis. This I got at a local tournament back home about 2 years ago. Black Diamond Classic at Emery Park. I actually didn't place all that well in this tournament. This was about 2 years ago, so I was still a budding intermediate player. Decided to throw it back in my bag before the last Black Diamond Fall Classic, which was in October of 2018. I thought maybe it'd be a good luck charm, and sure enough it was. It was my last home tournament back home. I ended up winning the tournament, so this has kind of been my good luck charm lately. And then my quote-unquote backup mini is a swirly blue mini Judge. Obviously shout out to the Judge. So that's about it. That's my early 2019 in the bag. Questions, comments, want to poke fun at the fact that I backhand only some discs and flick only some discs, you're more than welcome to. If you have any swirly seafoam or peach discs, send them my way. I'll absolutely love them. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you probably in the springtime for an update.